So you're interested in growing plants? Then you better get ready to be dirty, because plants grow in soil, and the soil health is integral to the health of the plants. Soil has many different properties, but one of the first things that you need to know is that it has inorganic and organic material. Depending on the region, soil can range from sand to clay, anywhere in between, a mixture. But what is always present in good, healthy soil is organic material. And that's what we're going to focus on today, because organic material is what is constantly decomposing, and therefore that is what we as gardeners have to constantly replenish our soil with. In nature, organic material is added to the soil through things like leaf litter or animal remains that then decompose. And this symbiotic relationship between plant and animal life is what creates a healthy, balanced soil. Now, animals can also include the microorganisms which are in the soil that you can't see. All of this is very beneficial for plants. A sad fact is that we as humans have constantly been determined to interrupt this cycle and this relationship between plants and animals every time that we blow a leaf instead of letting it decompose in place. That is robbing that soil of the nutrient that would naturally provide through the decomposition process. And then you add to that the heavy compaction from construction and chemical contamination, and it's no wonder that many of our soils are now unable to support plant life. Farmers who grow their crops in the natural soils, they choose the specific region that has already been made naturally rich by earthly processes like volcanic eruptions or proximity to a river delta, which naturally deposit nutrients into the soil. And then they spend even more time and resources constantly amending or adding different nutrients and organic material to their soil to keep it healthy and be able to grow healthy crops. We all have much smaller areas to be concerned with, whether that be pots or raised beds or even small garden plots, and therefore we don't need to worry about all of those processes so much, but we still need to employ the same principles to keep our soil healthy and therefore to raise healthy and productive plants. Never put soil from the ground in a pot or a raised bed. It's not suitable for those environments for many of the reasons that I mentioned above. A lot of times there's issues draining. If it's too clay heavy, if it's too sand heavy, then it drains too quickly. Generally, it doesn't have as much organic material because of the reasons I've just listed. So do yourself a favor and buy yourself bagged soil from the nursery. Here's one that I really like. It's Kellogg's Organics Raised Bed and Potting Mix. Been using this for a few years and it is fantastic. You're going to want to fill your beds or your pots to about 2/3 full with good raised bed or potting soil. If you already have a bed that's full of soil or a pot that's full of soil, you can start with this step. First, you want to remove any existing plant material. So I have a few little seedlings in here. I have some like leaf debris. You just want to comb through, remove this stuff. That includes roots, as much of them as you can get. Don't get too crazy, but you need to create a blank slate. Now, we're going to add our compost. And compost is our attempt at recreating this organic material that I've been talking about this entire time. This is what's going to add all of our nutrients. If you look at the ingredients of your compost, whether it's this one or whatever one you choose, it says things like composted dairy cow manure, straw, wood chips, and minute concentrations of yarrow, chamomile, valerian, stinging nettle, dandelion, and oak bark. So basically, this is just a bunch of animal and plant material that's been left to sit and decompose into this beautiful mixture known as compost. So you want to add about a minimum of 2 inches of compost on top of your beds. So I'm going to do that now. You can use gloves for this. I'm not going to. Booze Blend Biodynamic Compost, which I love. Try it out, or choose whatever other compost you want. Now, something else that I always add to my soil each year is worm castings. And worm castings is basically a polite way of saying worm poop. So this stuff you can actually get in a bag, so you don't need to have your own worm farm or anything like that. But worm castings are just jam-packed with nutrients for your plants that will make them very happy. And it's also a natural pest repellent for things like whiteflies, aphids, spider mites, and any kind of pest that feeds on the juices of plants. So this is actually kind of one of those miracle substances. That's right, worm poop is a miracle. I said it, okay? So you're gonna wanna add, I'd say about a quarter, maybe a little less, a quarter of the amount of the compost that you added. This is kind of like, you know, we're getting into the sprinkles on top of the sundae here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this. Because it's a smaller bag, I may use the whole thing. Before I go on, just want to give the old plug to G&B Organics for their Worm-Gro. I've been using this for many years with very successful results. Lastly, I like to add a bit of fertilizer to my soil to get my seedlings and seeds started off right. And this is one that I really love, Dr. Earth's organic tomato, vegetable, and herb fertilizer. One thing I will say about this, very important to read the instructions. It's extremely tempting to think more fertilizer is better for my plants, but actually adding too much fertilizer can burn and scorch your plants and actually kill them. And I realized last year the importance of this because I had a friend who bought this at after my suggestion, and then she dumped the entire bag into a super tiny raised bed thinking, oh, it's just like more soil. So that's not the case. Usually it's like a hefty sprinkle, but let's see, I'm gonna do this for new plantings. During the garden preparation, mix in 1 1/3 cups per 10 square feet of growing area. So I would say that this right here is probably about 20 square feet for this entire bed. You can't see the whole thing, but I would guess it's about 20. So that means I'm gonna do 2 2/3 cups for the entire thing. Okay, so I don't know if you would agree with me that, well, there's one stuck inside of the other, but does that look to you like maybe it's probably a little more than a cup. Maybe it's a 1 1/3. What I'm gonna do is just fill this up to the top and do this twice. Yes, you can kind of be a little bit lenient like I am with this. You don't need to get out your kitchen measuring cups. If you're, well, maybe you should if you're not good at judging, but I do a lot of cooking. So I feel pretty good about this. Certainly less than the whole bag though, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle this in this first half, and I'm gonna do another one for the second half. Okay, so that is everything that I'm going to add to this soil, but I'm not done yet. What do I need to do? My friend from that I just talked about also made the same mistake. She didn't mix it up. You got to mix it up. It's like baking a cake. So what we want to do is get this all integrated really nicely. And since I have a pretty deep bed here, I use a full-size shovel. But you can also use a mini shovel if you have a smaller container. So pick your tool and let's get mixing. The motion that you want to do to mix this is called turning the soil. And what you're trying to do is get the soil that's on the bottom and mix it into the top. That will get everything nice and integrated. So here's the motion for doing that. Insert the shovel into the soil as deep as you can, like that. You can use your feet. I love to use my feet. I get it in there. It's all the way down to the back of the shovel. And then I pull it up like that, pick it up, and dump it upside down. Boom. Now I can see soil that was at the bottom of my bed, and all of those nice nutrients have gotten way in there. And I'm going to do that process for the entire bed, just with the goal of integrating everything as thoroughly as possible. If you have a deep bed like this one, you might be missing the very bottom of the bed. That's okay. Don't worry too much about that. Just try to get it mostly mixed up on the top 2/3. Might have noticed I just kind of combed through the soil. I used a small shovel. You can also use a rake tool, or you can just use your hands. But you just want to break up any of the large clumps that you see. And that is sort of the final step, because guys, look at that beautiful texture of soil. Here, come in a little closer and see that beautiful texture. Yeah, it's damp, it's fluffy. There's lots of texture to this, where the baby seedling roots can get in there and make it their home, and they'll be very happy and very healthy in this soil to make you delicious vegetables. And that is the point, my friends. And that's it. This is the process that I have used to prep my soil for each season for years. And if you don't believe me, then check out my video, Summer Rooftop Garden Tour, for the results. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It has been amazing for me. Now, of course, you can always make your own worm compost and your own regular compost, but we'll save that for another video. In the meantime, tune back in next week, because we will be planting those seeds and seedlings, and you don't want to miss that. Okay, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. It means so much to me. Hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Rooney, are you on the furniture? Oh my gosh. Where is it? There it is.